Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well. And it is time for a review of the new Gang Starr album, one of the best yet. Together, DJ Premier and Guru as Gang Starr dropped some of the most essential hip-hop of the 90s, had an amazing run through that decade. In a way, they helped evolve the genre out of its rudimentary golden age in the 80s, with more nuanced, jazzy instrumentation, boom-bap beats, conscious lyrics, and cold-blooded flows that were heavily influenced by the likes of Rakim. Now, of course, Gang Starr weren't the only artists around this time pushing these ideas, pushing the envelope in general. KMD, De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, Main Source, which are only a few examples, but Gang Starr was as early to the party as almost anybody, and certainly helped lay the groundwork for more hardcore sounds to come. For anyone who happens to be out of the know, DJ Premier didn't just produce beats for Gang Starr. His production graced tracks from numerous classic hip-hop albums over this time period. Mobb Deep's The Infamous, Nas's Illmatic, Ready to Die, KRS-One's Return of the Boom Bap, also Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt. Gang Starr's transition into the bling era in 2003 with the Owners was pretty good. Certainly not as bad as some of their other 90s contemporaries. Still, Primo and Guru decided to call it quits around the halfway point of the decade, and they both kept dropping music respectively, that is until Guru passed tragically in 2010. Now, it would be safe to assume with almost 10 years since that point, the chances of a new Gang Starr album are just non-existent, but DJ Premier actually made it happen. With an assembly of beats and tracks he's been producing and structuring, topped with vocal recordings of Guru that were laid around 2005 to 2009, it's pretty ambitious to make a brand new album, not a compilation, not a B-sides collection, an album under these circumstances. Even with the best stuff at your fingertips, how much workable material could Primo have possibly had? I mean, after all, one of the best yet is Gang Starr's shortest record so far by a mile. The track list is also slightly padded out with some interludes, and there are quite a few features on this project too. I mean, I don't think there are too many features, and I think a majority of the features on this thing are very quality, but if you're one of those sticklers that thinks a record can't have too many other artists on it, you might be unhappy with the number of guests. And again, I can't say the number of people on this record bugs me all that much because for the most part they all stay pretty faithful to Gang Starr's sound and vision. Whether you're talking about artists here who are essentially voices from Gang Starr's past, or new faces whose work is obviously inspired by Gang Starr's legacy. J. Cole, Royce da 5'9", and throwing it back we have Juru the Damaja on here, we have Talib Kweli on here, Q-Tip, M.O.P., Big Suge. Credit to Primo though for doing his best with what I think he had access to, because this thing does feel like a legitimately new album. It doesn't feel like a bunch of warmed over leftovers. It flows really well like an album should, and he came through with quite a few highlights. There's the track Lights Out with M.O.P., who have had connections to Gang Starr for years. The track is pretty much a perfectly crafted boom bap banger with chilling piano chords, epic shots of strings, also savage performances from both Guru and M.O.P. That Lights Out gang chorus, Lights Out, is incredible. Guru on this track not only has a killer verse, but it's packed with a lot of good one-liners, also a very good refrain too. That one bar about rappers joining SAG because they're actors, I liked it. The following track, Bad Name, which has grown on me a little bit since I first heard it, is eerily relevant given the current rap landscape. The Primo beat here is basic but classic. Guru is resting on a pretty tried and true flow that seems heavily influenced by Rakim. It's like something we would have previously heard on Step in the Arena. And Guru's bars on this track are essentially about hip-hop losing its spirit, its fundamentals to materialism, commercialism. It's so relevant it doesn't feel like an old Guru track, but more like a broadcast from beyond the grave, much in the same way many tracks on Bowie's Black Star felt. I get a similar vibe from the track So Many Rappers later on the record, which is essentially about the struggles of existing in the music industry, one-hit wonders, show business in general. We have the track Hitman featuring Q-Tip, which topically is a bit of an odd detour. The track is literally about a hitman, a mercenary. The instrumental on this one is equal parts grimy and theatrical. It's like listening to the hip-hop equivalent of a short film. Q-Tip's refrain on this one is a little silly. I wish he had a verse or something, but the selling point of the track is really Guru's verses, which go into grave detail over how cold-blooded and calculated this Hitman is. He's secretive. He's shadowy. Watch out! All of these tracks, all of these moments contribute to a pretty quality first leg of this album. There's no material so far that's as thorough or as creatively genius as Mass Appeal or Tons of Guns or Moment of Truth. But so far, all of Guru's lyrics are focused, topical, pretty well written. Even though these songs aren't super long, I'm not coming away from most of them wanting more. And I think a lot of that comes down to Primo structuring these tracks as well as he does. It sounds like Primo put a lot of forethought into nearly everything going into this record, and the same goes for most of the guests. Royce da 5'9" generally might not be one of my favorite rappers, but he does drop one of my favorite guest verses on this project. I love his expressive delivery. I also think it's great how Primo interacts with his needle drop line with that little record scratch, and the second leg of his verse becomes this beautiful tribute to Guru. That line about his ashes being on the boards is pretty incredible. Also very impressed with J. Cole on Family and Loyalty too. I think he put together one of his best features ever on this one, second only to maybe some of the stuff he's done with Jid, where he's really doing his best to try to keep up with him. The drums on this one feel a little light, a little dry, almost like something that could have been on the Owners, but the super dramatic strings and pianos on this track are too pretty for words. Guru's hook is also fantastic, talking about diamonds and using that as a metaphor for things that last or should last, like loyalty, family. In a way, it's kind of a shame it's been stashed away for all this time. Following this is maybe my least favorite track on the entire project, Get Together, which is an attempt at a smooth, flirty, sensual jam. I think Guru's bars on the track are pretty slick, charismatic. What I don't really like here, honestly, is Primo's very weak attempt at making a luxurious instrumental with these plinky keyboard chords that sound like a cat jumping off of a piano. There's also Neo's hook here, which is obnoxious. The line about this being as much Spanish as I know is annoying. Nitty Scott on the track is fine. Not blowing my mind or anything, but I understand the need for a female voice to sort of come in and play counterpoint to what Guru is saying on the track. And for the most part, I think she does well. I think she does well. It's just everything else surrounding her verse and Guru's verse that is so painfully unlikable. In the last leg, I think the record starts to waver a little bit. Talib Kweli's guest verse, in my opinion, is just sounding very off. I don't know what it is about his voice that just doesn't sound him. That soulful, warm rasp that he's usually known for, those smooth and nimble flows that I've always loved from his music in the past, just don't carry over onto this feature. He sounds like he sticks out like a sore thumb in the mix, and not in a good way. The track Bring It Back here features a very cool verse from Guru, but I'm not sure I really needed this to just be a 50-second detour. You know what I mean? It's one of the only moments on the record that truly feels like, wow, this is like literally just some leftover work here and you just tossed it into the record when you really could have built it out a little bit and made this album a bit more robust. The track Take Flight is very good though, with its orchestral samples, with its features from Freddie Fox and Big Shug. The track being the latest installment of Gang Starr's Militia series, essentially calling back to the first one they did also with Freddie Fox and Big Shug, so kind of bringing it full circle. And the song Bless the Mic is the closer here, and it's a pretty interesting change of pace as the beat here is very spacey, very ambient. Guru's voice is treated in a way where it sounds like, again, I'll go back to that phrase, a broadcast from beyond the grave. It's like he's giving us advice or just giving us perspective from where he's at now after having left this plane of existence. Also, it's utterly fitting to have all of these samples of Rakim, Bless the Mic, Bless the Mic, Bless the Mic. The track is obviously a tribute to Gang Starr's legacy, Guru's legacy, but obviously referencing back to another great MC too. Overall, this thing was a very good project. Turned out way better than I thought it was going to, given it's posthumous, given just how long it's been since Guru has passed away, how long it's been since Gang Starr was a thing. Even if there are some weak moments here and there, I think one of the best yet does stay very true to what Gang Starr musically, stylistically, philosophically was all about. This project's a very good celebration of that, and also the artistic era of rap music that Gang Starr came from. I'm feeling a decent 2 strong 7 on this one. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Gang Starr, forever.